So, Nathan, good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, good evening, Brazil. We are here with three different time zones. This time in Belgium, the Netherlands, is midnight. So I'm especially here for you guys. We have a full room with Brazilians, so it's great. And Nathan is here for the second time. First time he was here with his wife doing a couple session talking about Australia and Tasmania, where he was born. Nathan, please tell us a little bit about that before we start with the round of questions. Thanks for being here.
No worries. A little bit about Tasmania. Is that what you want?
What did I say?
You said tell me a little bit about that. A
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
about
yes.
Tasmania.
Yes, exactly where you're born. Yes.
Oh, look, Tasmania is absolutely stunning. It's the little island right down the bottom of Tasmania, right down the bottom of Australia. It's one of 8 states and territories in Australia. It is known for having I think, the cleanest air in the world. It's pretty
Oh,
much next stop after Tasmania is Antarctica. So, it's a very clean, eco-friendly type place. A lot of hippies. Um, I guess it's quite often the butt of jokes from the rest of Australia. Um, yeah, we cop a lot down in Tasmania, but it's a beautiful place to grow up. I left there when I was about 22 to travel overseas. Um, and growing up there, you don't actually realize how stunning and beautiful the place is until you sort of leave and go and travel the world. And it was only when I took Andrea, my wife, back down there after being away for many years that I was like, wow, this really is up there with some of the most beautiful places in the world. So great place to grow up, very cold. I'm not sure I could move back there now. Now I'm used to the big cities like Melbourne and there's always stuff going on. Melbourne's obviously the sporting capital of Australia with the Formula One Grand Prix and the Australian Open tennis and all over our own Australian rules football and everything else that goes on. So after living here in Melbourne, I'm not sure I could go back to Tasmania, but love to go back down there and visit whenever I can. Lots of friends and family still down there. So it's only a 1 hour flight from Melbourne.
just 1 hour flight, so it's not bad. All right.
You can
Thank
get
you,
a ferry, you can get
Nathan.
an overnight ferry there if you want to take your car down.
You can also go with the ferry, with the
Yeah,
ferry.
yeah.
Ah,
It's about a nine
okay.
hour
Maybe
trip.
at the news you can show us the map. Because I
Hmm.
think some people they don't know how close it is. Yeah, okay. Australia is a huge island. It's a continent, they say, but it's also an island. Let's see how from Melbourne, right? Because Melbourne is also in the south, so
Yep.
that's why it's not that far, right?
Correct. So to the
You
top of,
see?
I think the ferry from Melbourne to the top of Tasmania, it's about 8 hours, I think. But I'm from the capital, which is right down the bottom there, Hobart.
Hmm. It's really not far. You
Yeah.
see.
It's a
And
big island.
just
It
to
takes probably 3 hours to drive from the top to the bottom, maybe
like
four
if
hours.
you see the map, Nathan, is also two little islands there or not?
The
There,
two at the top there, yeah. Very, very small islands. Not many people live on them. One
no?
of them, amazing golf course. Yeah, they're quite well known for beautiful cheeses and that sort of thing. But yeah, not too many people are living on those. King Island and Flinders Island. I've never been to either.
All right. So you cannot fly, you just have to take the boat if you want to go to this
So,
island.
to those, that'd be very small planes. I think
Yeah.
your little 10 or 12 seaters, which you'd never get me on. No way.
All right. So that
Tasmania is
means we
very
can start.
similar. Sorry, it's very
Okay.
similar to New Zealand, like the
Hmm.
countryside and everything. It's quite similar to New Zealand.
To New Zealand. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hello, guys. Hello, Nathan. Welcome to our English Brazil International. I would like to start with a question. When I was a child, first thing when I heard first thing in about Tasmania was this one here. Let me share with you.
I know what you're going to bring up.
Yeah. And then I never. The only thing that I was a big fan of this guy here. Let me share with you. Even I have a one of them like plastic water. I like this
That
one here.
was my question. That was
Yes.
my question.
Because they look so cute.
Yeah. Uh, have you ever faced this? I would say terrible, but a cute animal. Let me show you guys the real image of the Tasmanian devil.
Unfortunately, the real thing is not quite as cute as the car.
Yeah, this he he like as angry as uh looks like this he is
Look,
angry. Have you ever faced one of these creatures and people like
yeah,
raise this kind of animal like a pet?
no, definitely not as a pet. Um, I have seen them out in the wild. They're pretty scared of humans. They won't go up to humans, but yeah, they just make this horrible, weird noise at night. Like if you go camping at night, you can quite often hear them. Yeah, they make a pretty horrendous noise, but I've never heard of one attacking a human. They do have really strong jaws. They'll eat pretty much anything, bones and anything. I have no idea how Warner Brothers came up with that cartoon. The funny story, I think I spoke last time. We have our own football. It's called Australian Rules Football. It's a bit of a cross between American football, rugby, bunch of sports, but it's very unique. And Tasmania has never had a team in the national competition. Last year, they just announced they're going to have a team in a couple of years' time, and they're going to be called the Tasmanian Devils. Now, Warner Brothers had the trademark on Tasmanian Devils for all, merchandise and everything. So Tasmania had to come to a deal with Warner Brothers to be able to use the name Tasmanian Devils, even though you can only find these Tasmanian Devils in Tasmania. They had to come up with a deal with Warner Brothers and I think pay a lot of money to be able to use the name for the football team, which is crazy.
Let's share the sound of this animal. Let's see. How is the sound of this animal? Oh, sorry. I think I'm not sharing the audio. Let me share the audio.
Oh,
Terrible, man. No wonder the name devil.
So you can imagine if you're out camping at night and you hear those sounds, it's not the most pleasant thing to hear.
Yeah,
But I think it's
I
probably
was
dying out.
why devil,
There's
not the angel. Now I know why.
exactly. But they got a big cancer problem. They're dying out, unfortunately, and there's big sort of save the devil funds and stuff going on down there.
And what is it like living in Tasmania compared to another cities in Australia?
I mean, it's obviously much smaller, so it's a very sort of slow pace of life. Everybody seems to be a lot more friendly down there. The big cities like Melbourne, Sydney, everyone's always in a rush and you don't have that, I guess, small town vibe where, sort of everybody grows up together and knows everybody. And I mean, it's not that small. There's a couple of 100,000 people in the capital in Hobart,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just, I guess, a bit slower. Um, yeah, not a nice place to grow up.
What
There
is
wasn't much crime down there. It wasn't very multicultural growing up down there.
what is the name of
Uh,
the city that you live in Tasmania?
Hobart.
Mm,
Hobart.
would you please
with the
type?
H, with the H. I will write that
H
down.
Mhm.
Hobart.
There you go.
H.
It's got a beautiful big mountain sort of behind the city. In winter, it gets snow on there. Can't ski there, but it's a stunning place.
Let me share that some. Sorry, would you please tell again the city? H
O
O
Bart.
A
Hobart.
A R T. Whole part.
Yep.
No, whole. Let me see.
Can we put in the chat?
Yeah, put please.
Oh, did I send just two?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Hobart.
Um, it's Hobart has the oldest bridge in Australia. It has the oldest brewery in Australia. Has the first casino in Australia.
Let me share some images. Oh, beautiful city. A lot of old buildings.
Yep. It was an old convict settlement. That's the brewery. It was an old convict settlement. That little tower down the bottom there, that's the casino. That's where I worked for 4 years. Um, yeah, it was a convict settlement. So all the prisoners from England came over and they set up a settlement about half an hour outside of Hobart, which unfortunately back in 1995 was the scene of Australia's worst ever massacre. Some crazy guy went crazy and killed, I think, about 35 people down at
Wow.
this settlement, which is now a big tourist attraction. Well, was a tourist attraction, it still is, but yeah, he killed a lot of people. And after that, Australia banned guns. They had this buyback scheme where they bought everybody's guns off them, and we've never had a massacre since, which I really think the USA could really take note of that you actually can control guns.
The whole Australia and Tasmania, I think England they use it as a place to take the prisoners, all
Right.
all the country.
Yeah, that's the ship that goes down to Antarctica because next stop is Antarctica. There's sort of a lot of bases and a lot of the boats go from Hobart to go down to Antarctica.
Okay, thank you so much, Nathan.
You're
All
welcome.
right, Daniel. Daniel is ready.
Hello, Nathan. It's nice to talk with you again. Uh, well, we can see that you love your Tasmanian roots. I would like to know if there is a unique Tasmanian tradition or event you love. Can you share with us?
That's the thing about Australia, because we're a relatively new country. We don't have a lot of, I guess, old traditions and customs. Like when I go to where in Czech Republic, where my wife's from, it's amazing to see all the different traditions they have, that have developed over hundreds and hundreds of years. The types of things they do at Easter and Christmas and all that sort of thing. It's just astonishing to me because we don't really have that in Australia. As far as events, there's down in Hobart, there's this eccentric old man who's a billionaire who's made all his money from gambling, and he's created one of the most amazing museums in the world. And it's called Mona, and it's built out of this rock. It's sort of half underground, and he creates these huge events around it each year, especially around winter. It goes for like a month long, and it's all these really crazy, I guess, kind of dark in a way, just crazy events and dinners. It's sort of hard to explain, but it's the one time a year where Hobart, I guess, gets put on the international map. And then also at summer, yeah, around Christmas time, it's probably, I don't know if you're into yachting, but it's one of the world's most famous yacht races. Starts in Sydney the day after Christmas on December 26th and finishes in Hobart and takes for the
What's
fastest
the
yacht,
name of the race? Sorry.
Sydney to Hobart yacht race. And it finishes in Hobart, just sort of before New Year's Eve, and there's this huge festival around that. So they're probably the two times of year that Hobart really comes alive. Otherwise, it's fairly pretty sleepy kind of place. Um, but yeah, they have on at the same time they have it's called the Taste of Tasmania, this huge food and wine festival. And if I'm going to go back down to Hobart, it's generally around that time of year because I know everybody returns back down there at that time. It's a big celebration. So. Yeah, as far as traditions go, there's not really much to speak of, to be honest. But yeah, they do have some good events down there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, Marcela also has a question. Hello.
Oh, hello guys. Hello, Nathan. I would like to know about um, Tasmanian traditional foods and drinks. I love that kind of, you know, things. So I'm very curious about.
Did you get that, Nathan?
I don't know if it's me or if she's just
Yeah, she was asking
broken
you
up.
about food and
I got
beverage.
the beginning and then she broke
Yeah,
up. I didn't,
about food and beverage, like drinks, traditional drinks that you have
yeah,
there,
okay.
cuisine.
Yeah. As I said before, we've got the first brewery. We had the first brewery in the whole country of Australia. So got some amazing beer down there. Wine is very big. Tasmania, a bit like Australia, sort of where everybody lives is very concentrated. So there's so much space where there's just nothing but, bush and I guess national parks and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of wineries. Seafood is extremely popular. We're obviously an island. We've got very, I guess, clean waters around Tasmania. So seafood is huge. Fresh fish, scallops, prawns, oysters, a lot of oysters farms, and salmon. We eat a lot of salmon because there are a lot of salmon farms down there. So yeah, a lot of fresh seafood.
Perfect. I love salmon. So it's good to know. Thank you,
I
Nate.
un I unfortunately don't, but I love all the other stuff, the oysters and the prawns, and yeah, big fan.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
I mean, Nathan, I remember you're telling us that you work with, like you sell alcohol.
Yes, I
Like
do.
none of them are produced at all in Australia. It's
Um,
all import.
Actually, no, well, actually, the company I work for, it's all big international brands like Johnny Walker and Tanqueray and Smirnoff and Don Julio, these, I guess, global brands that are sold all around the world. But Tasmania, probably over the last 10 years or so, they have started to become quite popular for um, gins and whiskies, small gin distilleries, local distilleries. So Tasmanians really love the local stuff. So these distilleries down there that make their own gins and whiskies, they do really well. Quite expensive, but Tasmanians like to support Tasmanians. So yeah, they've definitely become popular and probably hurting the company I work for a little bit. It's tough to sell down there, but as I said, they're not into the big brands. They like their local stuff.
And are Australians like heavy drinkers when it comes to alcohol?
Yes. Problem is though, well, it's not a problem. It's probably a good thing in a way, but we have some of the highest alcohol taxes in the world. Like we're in the top three in the world for alcohol tax. So it's getting so expensive. And I don't know about over in Brazil at the moment, but there's a big, I guess, cost of living crisis where, the price of everything's gone crazy from electricity to fuel to everything you buy basically because of the transport costs and everything else. So everything's getting so expensive these days. People are going out less, they've got less money to spend. So with our alcohol prices so high, it's probably one thing is dropping a bit, or potentially they're buying the alcohol in the bottle shops and staying at home and drinking instead of going out to the bars and the pubs where, I don't know the exchange rate, but you can pay 18, $19 for a beer in bars and pubs down here now,
Oh,
which is
wow,
crazy.
that's very expensive.
Double what you'd used to pay probably, 10 years ago. So it's getting a bit out of control, the cost of things. Is that
Nathan,
a similar
before we move,
story in yourself?
before we go to Walter's question, tell us about tolerance when you're driving and drinking. And then can anyone tell him about the situation in Brazil at the moment? Because here in Europe, they're very strict. Like you can drink just one beer and that's it. How it is in Australia, is it the same in Tasmania? And then some of you can tell him, please, in Brazil. Yes.
Yeah, so you're allowed, I don't know if you have a similar measurement, but you're allowed 0.05 blood alcohol here. So a general rule for men, you can have two standard drinks in the first hour and then one standard drink every hour after. Obviously, depending on your size and what you've eaten and all
Mhm.
that. It's a general rule, but a standard drink is like one small beer or one shot of spirit or one small wine. So you can essentially have a couple of drinks and still drive. I know in Czech, where Andrea is from, it's zero tolerance. You cannot have any alcohol in your system at all. So if you get caught drink driving, you don't see, I guess, I live in the city, so you don't see them too often in the city. I think it's more out in the suburbs where they'll set up a big bus and they'll pull over every car and they'll breath test you. And yeah, if you blow over, you'll probably lose your license for at least 6 months, maybe longer, depending how far over the limit you are. If you're really over the limit, there's a good chance you might go to jail, and then you'll lose your license for a good period of time.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here in Europe. Okay, can anybody tell him about the situation in Brazil, how strict they are, if you can still pay the cops to not get in trouble, if you can, if you can put the points, about the point system. Please, anyone would like to talk a little bit?
I can talk.
Yes,
Are you
please.
listening to me good?
Yes.
Sorry, guys, my frontal camera is not working, so I don't know what's happening, but now you will see the floor. Or I will disable my camera now. So in Brazil, we have a system who makes points if you are drunk in driving a car or another auto vehicle. So, for example, when we are drunk, just a little bit drunk, it's not a drunk person, but you have alcohol in your blood. We made some, I don't know how to say now, but they put something on our mouth. Uh, we My God, how can I say soprar? I forgot it.
Sorry, blow. It's a breathalyzer,
Blow.
Talleyrand,
Thank
breathalyzer,
you.
breathalyzer.
Breathalyzer. So yeah, thank you. And so it's we oh my God. We have a breathalyzer to point you if you are drunk or not. So if you have just a little bit of alcohol on your blood, they check you approved, and you get arrested, and your car get arrested too, and you receive some points on your license driver, and sometimes you just lost it, so they blocked your license, and you need to do again your tests and your study to drive again. And it's a little confusion. Have make a little confusion here, because we have a lei seca. How can I say this in English?
Yeah, no tolerance.
Zero
Zero
tolerance. Yes, we have a zero tolerance here because of the accidents. People here are not so responsible. In Australia, how does it work?
It sounds very similar. Yeah, and I think now if you do get caught drink driving and you lose your license, once you get your license back, they fit a system to your car where you actually have like a breathalyzer in your car and you have to blow in it. And unless you're zero, then the car will not start. So yeah, bit of a deterrent to make sure, but I've heard of people, they just get their kids to blow in it or whatever. So not sure if it really works.
Another important thing to point out, Talleyrand, is here, Nathan, in Brazil, we are not obliged to blow the breathalyzer. Okay, if you don't blow the breathalyzer, they consider that you were drunk. They see you the way that you are talking and the way that you are, speaking. They can consider you a drunk even though you didn't blow the breathalyzer.
Yes, it's true. And if you cannot make a 4 with your legs, they consider you are drunk. That's true. And if you refuse to do the test, they get arrested you to the police. And sometimes if the cops are a little different way to think, they receive money to get you free. So it's a little common here.
Yeah, look, it all sounds very similar apart from the last part. I think if you tried to
A
little
bribery.
payment, a bribe to get off. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to go down well here.
An
Very
incentivation. Well,
sorry.
let's talk about an incentivation. A little coffee. We have a, I don't know if in the other states, but here in Brazil, we have in Brazil, just in Minas Gerais, in the state of Minas Gerais, we have a little expression to say they received a little coffee. A little coffee, an expression to pay money to get free.
Good to know.
All right. Thank you so much. Walter, he's waiting with his question. Please go ahead.
Okay. Nathan, do you have a national sport?
We do. It's probably a couple. Cricket is very big here, which cricket, I don't know if you know, cricket was, I think it was invented in England. So sort of all the Commonwealth countries are very big on it, such as South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, India. Cricket's the biggest in India. It's like religion over there. They go crazy for it. So when there's, and Australia's probably the best in the world at cricket. So when there's a match between Australia and India, it's just massive. Um, and then I've spoken before about our Australian rules football, which, yep, that's cricket. There's different forms of the game. One form goes for like 5 days. People call it the most boring thing they've ever seen in their lives, but people who love cricket, they love it. And you know, we have a big game here every year that starts on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, which is at the stadium about 15 minutes walk away from here. And there's normally 100,000 people there on that day, which is phenomenal. The other big sport, which is my favorite sport, which I'll be going to see my team in about 3 hours, Australian rules football. So that was actually invented in Melbourne. So it's massive here. It's now a national competition. Half the teams in the national competition are from Melbourne, and then there's a couple in each state around the country. But yeah, it's like nothing else in the world. It's totally unique to Australia. Nowhere else plays it. There's small, I guess, leagues around the world. I think there's a small league in the US. There's a small league in London, which is mostly Australians playing. But yeah, a few small ones, but yeah, you won't see anything like this game anywhere. It's hard to describe, but it's rough. It's you know they bump, they tackle, they hit each other at great speed. They don't wear pads or helmets like US football. It's an oval shaped ball.
Sorry, let me ask something. Why is the uniform like Brazil's uniform? The color, if the flag is blue and red and white.
That's our soccer team, or what you call football, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Green and gold, they're our national sporting colours. I know it's the same for Brazil, so I don't know why we've chosen that colour, to be honest. Yeah, I should look that up. I should know. I don't know why we're green and gold. Yeah, as you said, our flag's blue, red, and white. So it's a strange one. But I do most of you love football? We they had the Europa League. I don't know if you know it, in Europe. The final was the other night between two English teams, Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester United. And the coach of the winning team, Tottenham Hotspur, is actually from Melbourne. So he's the first Australian to ever coach a team to win a European trophy, which was pretty big news here.
Wow, that's really amazing. I'm pretty sure you're pretty so proud of that because us Brazilians the same, you know, as soon as we hear Brazilian soccer player, it doesn't matter where he plays, everybody's like, oh, it's a Brazilian, it's a Brazilian. It's really cool to see. All right, thank you. Renato, please.
Yeah, are you listening to me?
Yes.
Nathan, let's switch to economy, okay? That's my area. Yeah. How is the situation, the economic situation of Australia and the dependence of money from Australia? And what are the main products and services that are sold or served in Australia?
As far as what we export, or is that what you mean?
Sorry?
When you said main products?
Yeah. Yeah, the product that because it's well known for the meaty, for the cow, yeah, and but I would like to know about how is yeah, too. I'd like to know too how is the economy of Australia in general.
At the moment, it's not great. I think, yeah, I think like a lot of places around the world, and look, it's probably one area I don't get too heavily involved in, but yeah, I think since COVID, things have changed a lot. Um, the economy, like it's doing well. Unemployment and everything's at a very low rate. There's not many people out of jobs. But at the moment, as I sort of mentioned before, a lot of people are really struggling to make ends meet at the moment. It feels like probably there's more homeless in Australia now than there's ever been. And you hear stories and I guess read in the newspaper about a lot of people really doing it tough at the moment and struggling to put food on the table, just with the rising costs of everything, especially here in Melbourne, which is the state of Victoria. Our government here, I don't know what they've been doing, but over the last few years, sort of, we're billions of dollars in debt. And yeah, a lot of people just can't see how they can get out of it. So obviously the way governments do get out of these things, they tax more and more and more. So I was in the city 2 days ago. There was a huge protest in the city about taxes for a specific group of people. But yeah, it's definitely tough at the moment. We're doing fine, but there's a lot of people who aren't. It's tough, challenging times.
Another doubt, another curiosity that I have is that maybe 2 or 3 months ago, the Prime Minister of Australia tried to set a law uh, obligating or demanding that young people under 16 don't use social media. Do you know something about that?
Yeah, I don't know if it ended up going through or not, because I'm not sure how they can police it. I
Yeah.
didn't look too much into it. My boy is 9 years old and I'm certainly not letting him anywhere near social media anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know if that went ahead or not. I know they were trying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I probably need to look into that because, oh look, I think it's probably a good thing if they can do it. I'm not sure if it comes down to the social media companies or how that would work. But yeah, I think we're all across, well, especially here in Australia, there's been a lot of cases of, online bullying and whatever through these social media channels and kids ending
Uh-huh.
their lives, sort of thing. So, um, you know, I know what it's like having a young person in this day and age, and it's pretty hard to keep them off the screens at times. So, anything to keep them out of that for, I guess, until they're grown into an adult would be only a good thing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Endeavor to find out where that's at and let you know next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Hey there. Hey.
Thank you. Hello, Nathan. Nathan, could you tell for us a little bit about the social security system, about the retirement system in Australia? Maybe about the limits, contribution times, or the age to retirement, things like that.
Good question. That might have to be something else I find out. Look, I don't know too much about the social security system. I'll be honest. Um, I've never had to really use it at this stage in my life, but obviously there's unemployment benefits that those people that don't have the jobs. There are, I believe, sort of food tickets they give out for people that are doing it tough to be able to help them with food. And then obviously we have it's called the pension. I think retirement age these days is about 65, I think. Um, so I hope I'm still a little way off that, but yeah, I think it's about 65, and then you get your pension. You have your superannuation, which I would hope most people have a decent amount, that you will need a lot more money in your superannuation these days to retire. So yeah, and then you get pension from the government as well to sort of top that up to live by. But yeah, look, it's not something that I know a great deal on, I'll be honest.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
But I'll endeavour to find out. I'll take notes. There's got a couple of things I need to find out for next time.
Bernie.
Okay. Nathan, just one curiosity. Maybe in Olympic Games in Los Angeles 2028, cricket will back to the games. Do you know about this? Cricket
About
will back
cricket.
to the
Yeah.
Olympic Games, maybe, is a possibility. Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
There seems to be more and more new sports every year. I know last year, I don't know if you saw her, but they had breakdancing in the last Olympic Games. And there was this Australian woman that just did this crazy breakdance routine that was not like any of the others were doing. And I think she went viral like all around the world. And she became this sort of internet sensation, and people now go to fancy dress parties dressed as her and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, there's always new sports coming in, and yeah, I did hear the cricket's going to be in the next one, which I would imagine Australia must be a pretty hot chance of winning the gold medal.
In the same line that Ada asked about health system in Australia. Is the how work the system in Australia? If it's
Yep. So if you need to go and see a doctor, you need to pay. You get a certain amount of that back from the government from a system called Medicare. We have public hospitals and private hospitals. So public hospitals are all free. The thing with a public hospital, you might need to wait a bit of time. I, touch wood, have never had to go to hospital. So I hear the public hospitals are great. There's certain times if you have to go to, I guess, accident and emergency, if it's a Saturday night or something, and yeah, you might be in there with some strange cats and have to wait a bit of time. Otherwise, you can pay private health insurance, which we don't have. It's ridiculously expensive. And then you can go to private hospitals and you always get in very quickly and you see the best doctors. But even then, sometimes you still have to pay money to be in that hospital. You have out-of-pocket expenses. So even though you might be paying hundreds of dollars a month for private health insurance, even when you go to that private hospital, sometimes you have even more out-of-pocket expenses, whereas the public hospitals are all free. But yeah, as I said, touch wood, I haven't been and hope I don't need to use them, but I hear that, they're perfectly fine and very well. The doctors are very high regarded.
Thank you.
All right, Nathan. I remember like because we met each other working on the cruise ships, right? Right after you married this lovely woman from Czech, and you lived there for a little while. Can you tell us about your experience a little bit in Czech, like the big difference between Australia and Czech, and why did you decide to move back to Australia and you chose Melbourne to live?
So we thought we'd been in Melbourne for, I don't know, about 6 years, and as you said, we met working on cruise ships. We always traveled a lot, so I guess I got itchy feet and wanted to get moving again. I'd already lived in London for a while. I'd lived in the US for a while, so the opportunity to go and live in Europe was, one that I wasn't going to say no to. So we thought we'd go there for 1 year. We ended up being there, I think, for 3.5 years. We had our son over there. Obviously very different to Australia, and I mean Czech's probably very different to. I mean Europe is just so vast and so many different countries. That's what I love about Europe. You can cross a border and everything is so different. Um, so Czech being, I guess, right in the middle of Europe. Don't call a Czech an Eastern European. They hate that. That's Central Europe. Um, yeah, look, very, very different. Obviously, the language is the main thing, and because she wasn't in the main city, the touristy city of Prague, you probably had less people that were able to speak English. So yeah, I would think I was probably the only Australian in that town, so I was a bit of a guess a minor celebrity in that town. Everyone wanted to spend time to speak with me to practice their English because there weren't too many native English speakers there, even though everyone, all the youngsters wanted to learn English. They didn't have too many native speakers to speak with. So, um, yeah, look, I love living there. I loved how cheap everything was there when you compare it to here. For one beer that I go and buy here, I could probably buy six over there. So big draw. And just the fact that you can just jump in the car and go, right, where are we going this weekend? Let's go to Germany, or let's go to Hungary, or let's go to Austria. And you can just drive to all these places in, 2, 3, 4 hours, which I absolutely loved. I knew I couldn't live there forever. I miss the beaches mainly. It's obviously landlocked. There's no beaches. I know you've got stunning beaches in Brazil as well. And I think I've said before, most of Australia lives around the coastline. I think something like 95% of people in Australia live within 50 kilometres of a beach. So I miss the beaches. I miss my Australian rules football. Yeah, it was just very different environment. I love being there for that amount of time. I love going back there for holidays. We're going back in a couple of months, but yeah, I just love Melbourne too much. And why Melbourne? I love my sports. It's got the Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix track is 15 minutes walk away. The stadium that holds 100,000 people is 15 minutes walk away. The tennis precinct where they have the Australian Open tennis is about 15 minutes walk away as well. So we've got all these amazing events and sporting events and excuse me, stadiums all right next to where I live, and the beach is only 10 minutes probably drive away. So yeah, that's why Melbourne.
But then you leave from Tasmania. Did you move? When you're living in Tasmania, you moved to
Oh,
Melbourne. That was the first city
no,
that you moved. And
no,
why?
actually,
With your
uh,
family?
when I left Tasmania, so my mother had already moved to Melbourne. Spent a lot of
Okay.
time in Melbourne. It's the closest place. So I always knew one day I'd want to live in Melbourne once I was done with my traveling and ready to settle down. So I actually left Hobart to move to the US and I worked in a ski resort in California for a few months. Then went to London and lived there for a year and a half. And then I came back and I moved up north to a place called the Gold Coast, which is in Queensland. It's up north and northeast of Australia. Stunning place. It's probably the closest, I guess, place in Australia to what people think Brazil is like these beautiful, stunning beaches, all high-rise apartment buildings and hotels along the beaches, 60 kilometers of stunning beaches and a lot of surf. You find a lot of Brazilians up there because of the weather, the beaches, and the surf. So I lived up there for a couple of years. That's when I went to work on the cruise ships after that. So it was after the cruise ships that I thought, right, now it's time to move to Melbourne.
Okay, so when you're really ready to settle down, you said, that's a place for me. That's what felt home. Okay.
Yeah, How long were you on the cruise ships for?
I did 3 contracts with Crystal. How about you?
Did one with Carnival and then I think 3 or 4 with Crystal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, which was the most beautiful place you've been to? Just to see. Do you have like top 5 then?
Antarctica was amazing to see because it's not probably somewhere that you would normally go and book a holiday to. So to get to cruise, I think we spent 3 days cruising through Antarctica and these massive icebergs just floating straight past the ship, with penguins on them, and you see whales everywhere. And that was just something that, never thought I'd get to see in my life. So that was amazing to see. Um, Brazil, we're actually in Rio for Carnival, which was pretty cool. We got to be there overnight, so we had a good couple of days there. And it was actually Andrea's birthday when we were there. So We'd been out
Oh,
partying at night. We got up, I think we had about 1 hour sleep, and then we got up and went and jumped on a helicopter and went, that was her birthday present, and went sort of all around, the
wow.
Christ Redeemer statue and over Maracana Stadium. And yeah, helicopter flight all around Rio after a night of partying was pretty cool.
Yes, back then it didn't mind, that you didn't sleep that well. It just could go. Okay, so there's two
And
places already.
up north, Norway, like as pretty much as far north.
Yours or
Yeah, fjords, absolutely stunning. The Norwegian fjords. Never seen anything like that anywhere else in the world, so that was beautiful. Where else? South Africa was pretty stunning. I love all the coastline down there. Sailing around the Cape of Good Hope, is it? I think the very bottom of South Africa. That was beautiful. And then I guess favorite places to go. Well, actually, another place that was amazing to see was Israel.
oh,
We were there on at Easter time, so there was so many processions and parades and all their traditional stuff going on. Absolutely amazing to see.
when you went
Again,
there on vacation or with
no,
the
on
ship?
the ship,
With
on the
the
ship.
ship. Oh, really? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
did the world tour as well, but I didn't go to Africa, and I also didn't go to Antarctica. Now you're making me jealous. I want to go back to work on the ship just.
it's the best way to travel, and you just get small snippets of these places, but you work out whether okay, well yeah, I want to go back there on a holiday one day or whatever. So yeah, you get to see little snapshots of places and work out where you want to go on your holidays. But yeah, no, we're lucky
Exactly.
enough to go pretty much all around the world. So I think I've between the ships and my personal traveling, I think I've visited over 100 countries now. So I'm
Wow. You see, guys, and he says that top five, Brazil's top five, so we should be happy for that. Thanks, Nathan. Okay, Renato is back. Renato?
Yeah. Can you listen to me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
because I sometimes I don't know because I'm using my smartphone and sometimes I get disturbed about that. Okay, you said that you took a cruise or had a cruise to Antarctica. Do you have some good memories or some memories about this kind of cruise, about this cruise to Antarctica?
Yeah, oh look, it was I remember the whole thing vividly. So when you work on these cruise ships, you do contracts as we spoke about before. I think Simone said she did three. And so you sort of think, oh, okay, this might be my last contract, and then I'm going to finish up and go back to normal life. But then you look at the itinerary for the next contract and you see where the ship's going. You say, oh shit, Antarctica. Oh, it's going here, it's going there. You're like, yeah, okay, one more contract. And that continually happened because the ship that we were working on, it goes all around the world. Some cruise ships just do the same, three or four ports over and over and over, but the one we were on was going all around the world. So, yeah, it was one of those things where I saw, oh, it's going to Antarctica next contract. Yeah, I definitely want to go back for one more contract. So, yeah, we left from Ushuaia in Argentina, and you can get some pretty horrendous weather, obviously, down that way. But we were very lucky. We got stunning weather. I think it took about a day to sort of get down to Antarctica, and then the next morning you woke up and you're just surrounded by icebergs and ice, and you see your first whale, splashing out of the water, and you're like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing. But then you realize you're seeing a whale like every 5 minutes. They were just absolutely everywhere. And there'd be, icebergs going past the ship that were bigger than the ship. And then there'd be these tiny little icebergs that would just have one lone penguin on them. Um, yeah, it was just phenomenal. And to, I guess, experience it, that we were a bunch of people. We all sort of worked in the bars. We were all quite close from all over the world. There was Brazilians, there was Argentinians, people from Europe, South Africa, and we'd all developed such a close friendship. So to be able to cruise through and with all these people you're so close with, and then we'd have our little area out on the front of the ship that was crew only. So we're just cruising through all these icebergs, all out in the front, having a drink, having a beer, freezing cold, but yeah, just an amazing place to see. If you
Yeah,
ever get the opportunity, it's well
yeah.
worth it.
I'm asking you because I have a close friend of mine, a woman. that took a cruise from Vancouver, Canada, to Antarctica, to Alaska. And I don't know, I would like to, I'm curious to hear about her experience in this cruise. Yeah. So for me, I think that's a kind of cruise that I never thought about that, but I think that one of the alternatives. Yeah, I like
Mm.
to travel too, but not by cruise. Yeah, by ship. I like to travel by plane when I go abroad. But I think that this can be a amazing experience going from Vancouver to Alaska by cruise by a ship.
Yeah. Yeah, Alaska's very popular on cruise ships. A lot of the ships up that way. I never got to go to Alaska. That's probably the main place I haven't been, is Canada and Alaska. Probably the two big ones that I've never got to. But yeah, I hear great things about Alaska.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Oh, well, Renato, I did Alaska for 4 months.
Oh, yeah?
So I will tell you all about that next time. Nathan, can
Okay.
you please tell us about health? Like in Melbourne, I presume people go jogging at the beach. They like to show off a little bit their bodies. It's like if you compare to Brazil, a little bit like Rio de Janeiro. And I was born in São Paulo. So São Paulo is a city that there's no beaches, people just work. Like you could compare a little bit with New York. So for me, now I've been living here in Europe for 20 years. Every time I go back, I'm so surprised to see how many people are just becoming overweight. Isn't
Oh, really?
Australia a problem as well?
Um, I don't know. I have read things. I don't tend to see it much. Not like the US anyway. I think the US is out of control with obesity and that sort of thing. Here, yeah, people are quite, I guess it's one of those things with the weather. When you're out and it's probably more so up north in Sydney and Brisbane. Melbourne now winter is about to hit and it does get quite cold. I mean, it's 12 degrees here this morning, which is not too bad, but I woke up 3 mornings ago and it was 1 degree. So I think it's one of those things with the weather. If you're out and about all the time and it's sunny and it's warm and you're doing lots of exercise, probably less so, probably more so down this way in Melbourne, where people probably tend to hibernate a bit in winter, don't want to go out as much. They're not, the beach or anything, so that I guess they don't care how they look. So I don't think there's like an obesity epidemic like in the US, but people definitely probably shy away from being a bit fitter and healthier during the winter months, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's Saturday morning. There's the Botanical Gardens is probably about 10 minutes walk away. And there's a very known track that goes around the outside called the Tan. If I go up there after this call, there will be thousands of people all walking around that track. It's a
Really?
very, very popular walking track. And even though it's a cold day, yeah, it's always full of people out there doing their exercise. There'll be groups in the gardens, personal fitness training. They'll have a personal trainer and there'll be groups of like 10 people all working out. You see that a lot around. So I feel Australia's quite fit and energetic. Yeah, a bit like Brazil.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, when it comes to diets, do you guys have like lots of takeouts? People who just like, oh, I'm just gonna order. How is with the foods, American foods there? Because in Brazil, it's crazy. I think it's
Yeah,
so much influence. In Australia as well?
yeah, it's definitely gotten more popular over the last few years. Things like Uber Eats and all these sorts of things. I remember when I was a child growing up, and there'd only be a few places that did delivery. It's just some young person in their car. But now, if I walk out of my apartment building, chances are I'll see 4 or 5 of these food delivery bikes. They're on electric bikes now, so they're zooming around all over the place. Yeah, it's there's probably 5 different platforms, not just Uber Eats, but all these other ones that are all delivering. So yeah, I guess in that regard, there must be people that are getting a lot lazier and not going out as much and ordering food at home. But it's everything. It's not just fast food. You can get high-end restaurants food and that sort of thing. So I don't tend to order it that much. Andrea's like, she doesn't like to spend much money, so she'd prefer to cook, and she's an amazing cook, so I'm happy with
That's
that.
right. Guys, do you have Uber Eats also in your cities in Brazil? Or is another name? Is another delivery platform? Because everybody here is in another city. That's quite interesting. How it is in your cities when it comes to Uber Eats? Do you know what I mean?
We have
Here
iFood.
more
iFood.
iFood.
But in my city, we don't have iFood. Yeah, iFood.
iFood is there. They have
Yeah,
another
the main.
platform. But in all the cities, Rio de Janeiro, Campinas, Amazonas,
Yes, we have Uber Eats here in Campinas also.
as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It drives me crazy though, because they just, so many of them on these delivery bikes, and they're electric, so they go fast, and they just don't care about the road rules. They just flying everywhere. They're up on the footpaths, and they cause chaos. So as handy as it is to be able to get food very quickly from wherever you want, they do cause a bit of chaos out in the roads, which is frustrating at times.
Because here in Belgium is the same when it comes to the fat bikes, they call it. How is in Brazil? I don't think they have that yet. They just have like motorcycles. Do you have this electrical bikes already? I
Is
don't think
where, more motorcycle
motorcycles.
mechanic cycle and bikes. There are
Just
bikes.
regular bikes.
Yeah,
So they're just doing deliveries in the regular bikes.
yeah. When the distance short, uh, there are bikes, and but the maybe 90% is motorcycle.
Motorcycles very popular in
Yeah,
Brazil.
yeah.
Okay, guys, time's up. I just checked the clock. I think Nathan's gonna have a busy day today, going to his football soccer match. Is your son going with you? Is he too young for that? Or
He comes sometimes. I don't think he's going to come today because he's got a bit of a cold as well. So I think his mother wants to keep him home today and rested. So I might go with a friend today, or I might just go by myself. So
but is that something that the boys, young people, children, no problem. They just can join the
yep.
great.
It's a bit longer. Soccer matches or your football is, you got your 90 minutes. I guess from start to finish, this will go for probably 3 hours. So
Oh,
a bit
that's
longer than a
long.
soccer match. So yeah, for the little kids, it can be a bit of a long one. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, there's probably going to be the stadium I'm going. We've got two big stadiums here in Melbourne. The big one that holds 100,000. The one I'm going to today holds, I think, 55,000 people. There'll probably be about 40,000 people there today, but it's actually got a roof, which can open and close. So I think it'll be closed today. So
Because it's a little bit
yeah,
colder there. Like in Brazil, now
like,
it's winter for you. Here it's almost summer. All right. Okay, Nathan, thank you so much for being here with us, for taking the time of your busy schedule to tell us a little more about Australia. Because for us, it is so far to go down there. I mean, I was lucky enough to be there, to have the experience on the ship. But it's still like, even if I live in Europe, it's a very expensive country to fly to. And also, everything is just so nice to get to hear all this, to get this information, to hear all these stories from far, and wish that someday we could visit. Because for me, it was also one of the most beautiful places that I've been to, Melbourne and Sydney. So I think the guys
we
in
just
Brazil could dream of a vacation like that because of
we
you.
just have flights to come over to Europe in July and August, and yeah, it's 24 hours.
Yeah, and it's expensive.
Things we do.
All right. Guys,
Thank
thank
you
you so
all
much
for
for
your
being
time.
here. You have a
Okay.
lovely weekend. Nathan, thank you so much.
You're
Y'all have a
welcome.
good day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a great
you.
Thank
weekend. See ya. Thank you
Have a
so
great
much.
weekend.
Please
Bye.
Bye bye, bye
like,
bye.
Yeah.
Bye
tap
bye.